Now you have to fight through all the monsters again. We were supposed to discuss it. Why did you choose the dot,
I wanted to see what ... would do. Come on, how often do you get the, like, non-answer? I was curious.
Is it going to be the same question when we get back there?
I don't know. We also needed to grind for a little bit anyway.
Okay, so was the king correct in giving the man his ring? Well, I suppose if it was worth enough to help the man, but we don't even know what the hardships were. Was it just monetary? But do you know what the problem is? It's like the old saying about you can give people fish, or you can give people a means to catch their own fish. By giving the peasant his ring, he wasn't allowing him to become self-sufficient. He was merely allowing him to pay off whatever immediate debts he had. Unless he actually used that to purchase things that would be able to help him in the future. But you don't really know what the peasant had spent his money on, do you?
Yeah. I mean, personally, the alternatives are what exactly? They're like the problem is they didn't give us an alternative. There's no negative to what just happened there.
The alternatives are either like changing the policy or giving him the means to make money another way, rather than be essentially given a cop-out or a buyout.
I mean, from my perspective, like, totally just, because there's no negative there. It's not that that other people starved.
But that's the thing. Then everyone would go to the king asking for random gifts. Where if he found another means to help the peasant that didn't involve just an easy money grab.
Oh, interesting. It even resets us through this. That's funny. Yeah, so, why even have it reset us to the beginning then? This is goofy.
I think it's... I don't know. Like, while I think it was very nice what he did for the peasant, he can't do that for every person in his kingdom, and he should have found a way for the peasant to become self-sufficient as opposed to relying on his money.
That's not our options. Our options were, was he just or unjust in giving this peasant a ring? And
I mean, it was a gift from himself, so...
I guess from just, yeah, it's not fair. Fine, we'll go with unjust. Why not? He was unjust.
Let's see. He was unjust. There is no other answer. It is understandable that, faced with an impoverished man, one would wish to reach out a helping hand. For a normal man, that would be a just decision, but not for a king.
And what is the reason for thine answer?
The first principle of any kingdom is that its people must not starve. Thus, the harvesting of crops forms the backbone of any country. If there are peasants suffering, that is clear evidence that the king's rule is not working effectively. If he considers immediate charity as an acceptable redress for the greater follies of his rule, then he has no right to be king. A just king would not give charity to the few, he would rule in a way that benefits the many. Instead of giving charity to a peasant, the king should gather his retainers and fulfill his duty to the people by implementing a new, more just rule.
Thou hast answered well.
Yay, I was right!
A virtuous man may help one person, but a virtuous king grants favor to all of his people. No king must allow his people to live in hardship. Engrave these words upon thy heart and continue on.
Woo-woo! I was right. You don't solve the problem by giving away money. Oh no, what did you do to your jaw?
Have you ever, like, unhinged your jaw to some degree?
No. Though I have had that weird problem where you swallow and it clicks.
Hurts real bad. Oh, that didn't work. Whatever. Interesting enough. Well, never mind. There goes his turn.
I am meant to be a queen.
I like Endier's attack there. It just turns around and kind of pokes them with the sword really lazy. And it's like,
Actually, on my mom's side of the family, we can trace our lineage back all the way to the kings and queens of France and England. Including Richard the Lionheart, which I think is awesome. Though, Richard the Lionheart was in those, like, Robin of Locksley legends, right? Robin Hood? He left his brother on the throne, which lent to extravagant spending and discrimination against the... What was it? It was the Normans versus the Anglo-Saxons, right? And the Normans were the ruling, faction at the time, and they oppressed the Saxons. But it was interesting because I think the Saxons ended up prevailing. You know. Didn't you ever read enough about Robin Hood?
Not overwhelmingly.
No? Not
like,
the history behind it?
Robin Hood was kind of an interesting tale, I'll grant. But a lot of it ended up being kind of... I don't know. I guess I never really was that interested in reading that far into it beyond just, like, an initial bit, if that makes sense.
All of you guys should see the 1930s, The Adventures of Robin Hood, starring Errol Flynn.
I saw that one. It was okay. Personally,
hey,
like...
it's a classic.
Honestly, I was pretty okay with the Disney version.
Oh, you mean with all the animals?
Yeah. It was pretty classy. Like, it wasn't, like, the best ever, but I think it told the tale in a particularly, like...
I think they actually got Patrick Stewart to play, King Richard the Lionheart in one of the versions of Robin Hood that I've seen.
Maybe?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know.
Of course, he only makes an appearance at the very end when he's like, I'm back from the Crusades. And everyone is sort of, oh, yay, why did you leave us with Prince John? Why?
He's like, for God and country. And they're like, you mean just God? And he's like, for God and country. And they're like, no, man. Okay. I don't know why, but, dude... Yeah, every time dude attacks, he only loses half of his ATB gauge. I've been wondering about that. It's super handy, because for whatever reason, the guy with the giant greatsword is, like, just constantly swinging. It must be, like, one or two of the trinkets I've got loaded on him.
I wonder what the next question will be, and if they'll send you back to the previous gate or the very first gate. We must choose wisely.
We must hit stuff.
I mean, could you imagine if you were in Indiana Jones and you approached that very, very old knight? Oh, interesting. Nah. Chat's bringing up that Waka is similar to Robin Hood. I did recognize a number of the legends that were in Okami, like Kagome Hime. That's perfect. I'm gonna talk about Kagome Hime, the princess in the bamboo stalk. Now, everyone's probably seen the Studio Ghibli version of the story, but I first learned of the legend from, guess what? Sesame Street. Sesame Street had a series that went on for quite a while, and it was just Big Bird and Barkley, the dog, going to various countries around the world and learning about their cultures, typically through little children that they meet, but I suppose they also had some adult cast members that would help too. And by the way, Big Bird seems always really sad. Why does Big Bird get so sad?
Big Bird is sad, man.
He doesn't believe in himself. In any case, we have the one where it's Big Bird goes to China and Big Bird goes to Japan. My parents probably got those ones for us because we really loved Asian food. In any case, so the Japan one, they end up living at the house, like sort of like boarding with a young woman. And she always seems sort of lost and on her own. And she sings a beautiful song out in the moonlight. And it sounds so sad. I don't know if I should try singing it now. But the lyrics are so sad. It was like, moon, do, no, 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 moon, no, la 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 la. It was just so sad. In any case, she sings this beautiful song, and Big Bird starts to wonder about her because she always seems to disappear at night. And they see this play that was put on by a bunch of little children, highlighting the bamboo cutter story. You know, the bamboo cutter and his wife were old. Oh no. Enthusiastic girl? Oh, Lady Julienne, thank goodness you're safe. It's an illusion.
Huh? That's the girl back from Julienne's village. O one of royal blood, thou must not be deceived. The woman before you is no woman, but a monster.
Whoa. What?
She followed after thee and snuck inside these ruins.
What? No, I'm no monster. I was worried about Her Highness, so I came to see if I could help.
O one of royal blood, thou must not be deceived.
Ah, what's with that voice? Stop lying, all right?
It is the king's duty to guard these ruins. This monster must be eliminated.
No, it's not true. Please, you have to believe me.
Damn it, what are we gonna do? We got no way of telling if she's a monster or a human. You really think a normal girl would have been able to follow us here, though? It doesn't add up.
But if she really is human, one wrong decision by us could cost her her life. A king must bear the weight of many lives upon his shoulders. I am fully aware of what that entails. No doubt, Endir, who decided against the murder of the sacrifice, will also understand. Please, I want you to collect your thoughts and each think of your answer. Let our minds be as one.
I don't care if this is the right or wrong answer. Worst comes to worst, what? We fight the monster? Boo-hoo.
Why must she be eliminated? I see no such need.
And what is the reason for thine answer?
Whether my opponent is human or monster, I shall never raise my lance without irrefutable proof. One word from a king can bring great prosperity to a kingdom, but also great ruin. If a king bids that they do so, will the people not endure even the harshest taxation? Will his soldiers not cast aside their own lives for him, even in the face of certain death? Such is the weight that rests upon each decision a king must make. Such decisions must not be made lightly, especially when faced with one who shows no animosity. Whether they may be monster or human, there is always room for discussion. To decide when, then, and there to eliminate one for whom there is no proof it is even an enemy. Those are not the actions of a king, but of a fool. Lady Julienne, thank you.
Thou hast answered well. She is indeed human, inside and out. She tried to enter these ruins, and so I captured her.
What? The ruins are...
I have sent her back outside the gate.
Thank you.
A king's word is law unto his people, and at times may govern even their lives. He must never speak with haste, without first ascertaining the truth. Engrave these words upon thy heart, and continue on.
Yeah. So anyways, back to the bamboo cutter story. So, oh, this better not be the end. I want to talk about the
No, there's
bamboo.
at least one more section. These things always come in threes.
Okay. Ooh, wow. Do these just have tails, or are they hidden behind the snowballs?
No, they're roly-polies.
Okay.
We're
So
seeing them
the
from
bamboo
an angle.
and his cutter and his wife were very old, and they couldn't bear offspring of their own. And the...
Oh, you're telling the whole goddamn story, aren't you?
Well, no, so I'm not telling the Ghibli version, I'm just telling the Sesame Street
Okay,
version.
because we saw that like a couple weeks ago, and I'm pretty sick of the Ghibli version still.
Oh, shh. No, I know. So they cut open the bamboo stalk. Well, he cuts open a bamboo stalk that's glowing in the woods, and finds that there's a little girl inside it. And they decide to raise her
he
as
took her
his
home,
own.
cooked her, and they had little girl stew for dinner.
No! So, they raise the little girl, and she becomes the most beautiful young woman in the land. And there are so many suitors, many princes coming from various kingdoms trying to woo her hand. And, try to woo her so that they can have her hand in marriage. Except she rejects all of them because she says that she's not long for the world. And everyone's upset by this. And then one day the moon people come back and take her to the moon. And as a child, it was really scary because Big Bird and Barkley realize that their hostess is actually the Kagome Hime. And when they see the play, they try to go after her because they realize that it's the night of the full moon and that she's been acting very strange lately. And by the time they get to the bamboo forest, she's already gone, departed. And so they go back on the plane and leave Japan. And they're like, well, we hope she's happy wherever she's gone. Except it was so scary because when the men from the moon came for her, everything went black and white. All the color of the forest was gone. And the song was just so sad. But then at the very end, there was a glimmer of hope because in an open bamboo stalk, there was a light. And it was sort of like, oh, maybe she's being reborn again. But in Okami, it was better because the girl was literally from
That'd be
Spice.
kind of an amusing turbo dick move. Just like, girl born, lives for like 2, maybe 3 years, goes back to being a bamboo shoot, just very fast-paced reincarnation via bamboo shoot. That'd be annoying. Do I know the canine warrior story?
Well, I know that there was the lady that had the, 7 canine dogs?
Like, I will admit,
Well,
I am not
dogs
a
are canines.
folklore buff from any culture. And, like, I've never really been that big into folklore. I don't know, the problem
I
with
love
folklore is...
mythology and folklore. I just
but
haven't...
it's always so, like, bad. Like, the problem with a lot of folklore is, like, it's all wrapped up in superstition and, like...
Well, I have to admit, a lot of the Greek mythology ones
I mean,
tended
not
to
even,
focus
like,
on,
Greek mythology
Zeus
ones.
and
Like,
all of his half-children with various goddesses and mortal
but, like,
women
the basis for
animals.
most... The basis for most, like,
It's to
even
explain
Disney
things.
stories
Oh.
are, like, utter garbage.
Well, Hans Christian Andersen wrote very melodramatic things, like the Snow Queen and the Little
like,
Mermaid.
the dwarves in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I believe the dwarves, like, repeatedly raped her.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's the Grimm brothers for you. Right? Did Grimm write that?
Yeah.
Ew. Like, I'd never read that. I'd read that the prince in the original Sleeping Beauty had actually gotten her pregnant while she was still asleep.
Right, there's that too. Yeah, okay, people are corroborating my story. Yeah, everybody got with Snow White. Everyone.
Ew. Well, in one of the other stories of like Hansel and Gretel, didn't they end up cooking the witch?
I
think they did.
definitely remember the witch died horribly.
Yeah, she died in her own pot.
You know, that wouldn't be terribly unlikely.
I mean, the Snow Queen ended fairly well. Which is another thing. I really don't like it how they completely changed everything for Frozen.
Well, Frozen was bad.
The original story was supposed to be about how there was a young girl and a young boy, and they lived in a snowy village, and there was like this mirror that was magical, and it like held the spirits of evil demons inside of it. It was really bizarre, but it shattered, and a shard of it got caught in his eye and made him gloomy.
O one of royal blood, heed my warning.
Ooh.
Amongst thou leadest here, one alone. There is one alone who bears no human blood.
Oh. What?
This individual must be rooted out and eliminated before it is too late. A
perplexing question indeed. When my transformation was at its worst, perhaps because of the confusion in my mind, my memories of our journey are hazy, and I remember very little. But judging by your reaction, it seems that you already know the answer. You already know who it is among you that is not human. Please, I want you to collect your thoughts and each think on your answer. Well, of your answer. Let our minds be as one. She's saying the same thing again. Oh, so you're gonna give Eterna away? Or just say that we're all human? What do you do?
I kind of like the fucking answer. Just like, screw it, I don't care. And or just the end here is hella clueless.
Or Eterna's gonna turn herself in.
I don't know one way or another. I like the Endir is clueless and or doesn't give a shit.
We're human after all. Human after all. Daft Punk. Yeah. Humph. I need not even consider my answer. They are, of course, all human.
So that is thine answer. Trust lies not in blind faith. The people shall place their trust only in one of true wisdom. Thou must consider again what makes a true king.
Wait, are you sent back?
Yeah, it kicks me back to the beginning. How far back?
How far back?
Oh, just the beginning of this area. Yeah, so it's Eterna.
What
What a weird way of, like, forcing you to,
well,
like...
it forces you to acknowledge the fact that she mystically disappeared and came back, and...
I mean, it makes sense.
This gives me an opportunity
I was
to
just
tell the
keep...
rest of the
I
Snow
wanted to
Queen.
know what would happen if we picked wrong, and or if everybody was like, shut up, Endir. And Endir's like, oh.
Yep. So, the little boy gets taken away by the Snow Queen, who lives in a frigid castle. And So the young girl, desperately wanting her neighbor friend back, goes on an epic quest to find the little boy. And let's see. I remember she actually encountered some bandits, specifically a bandit girl who threatened to kill her. And she exchanged some clothing with her, and that made them fast friends. I think she was like a gypsy girl or a thief, and that helped her out. There was an old woman that tried to murder her, or at least keep her hostage in her hovel. And that was pretty mean.
I've always wanted a daughter!
I think it was pretty much like one of those situations. And, yeah. I don't recall everything. The book that I had that was my grandmother's was one of these really, really cool holographic 1950s Japanese stuffed doll photo books. Like, they made all the illustrations in the books by taking pictures of these dolls performing the story. So it was really cool. I also found out the story of like the steadfast tin soldier from one of those books too. In any case, she finally gets to the Snow Queen, and they leave this out of the book for obvious reasons, but I believe in the original story, the queen says that the girl cannot save the boy until she puts the mirror back together. Or actually, was she forcing the boy to put the mirror back together? And like, their hands got all cut up because of the glass. In any case, the girl approaches the Snow Queen and the boy, and the Snow Queen's like, yeah, he doesn't remember you, and he's mine now. And the girl's like, please, you must remember who you are. And the young boy sheds a tear because he does remember his childhood and his happiness with the girl. And the tear happens to get the shard out of his eye. And yay, he's back to normal again. And I think the Snow Queen lets them go. But, yeah. Interesting story. That, or the mirror was made whole and the Snow Queen was locked away. I forget what the real ending is. That's the problem. There's so many variations of these old tales.
I don't remember. The other reason why I don't mind getting the answer wrong is we do need the experience. Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. There is a traitor among you, or there is one who is a monster. Hey, you got what you wanted, Wander.
Wow, if I make... What do you mean? The experience?
That you wanted a monster party member.
I mean, I want like a real monster party member,
well,
not
maybe
like...
Eterna's gonna turn into a monster.
Nah, she's gonna have that same character model the entire time.
Maybe she turns into a massive frog.
Froggy!
Froggy!
Okay, Eterna.
I do not need Endir to tell me. It is Eterna. Julienne. Even I do not know who Eterna truly is. But now Setsuna's spell has lifted the fog from my mind. There is one thing I do know. Eterna's magical energy is somehow different. It is not that of a human.
Thou hast answered well. Once thou hast disposed of her, then I shall deem thee worthy of the throne.
What? These ruins are terrible. I'm afraid we have no intention of disposing of Eterna.
But...
You are wasting your time. I shall not be disposing of her. Any attempt to induce me to do so is meaningless.
And what is the reason for thine answer?
I do not know who you are. But just as you refused me entry here when the transformation had me in its throes, if you had been so inclined, I am sure you could have also done away with Eterna. Seeing as you did not, that must mean you have deemed her to be no foe. Is that not so?
Uh,
Furthermore, I fought alongside Eterna. She is my comrade. Whether she is human or not, she remains my ally. I shall never turn my blade against an ally.
Thou hast answered well. Trust is one of the qualities that makes a king. And placing one's trust in others without regard to birth or lineage is the sign of a true king. It is in a king who is without prejudice that the people and their court shall place their trust. Engrave these words upon thy heart and continue on. Quickly, I'm making this shit up.
Yay!
It's just Cornelius. Cornelius is just...
Who knows what can...
Would have been really... Okay, I'm calling it right now. It's totally Cornelius.
What? No, it's clearly some bizarre hologram left over by ancient kings to test their young'uns.
It's a hooky. We're fighting a goddamn hooky.
Wait, what? A hooky?
Well, damn, that move does damage. I hit him with every element. Yay! That's actually a really cool move. I don't use cleave that often, but it's super, super solid. People are calling Reaper. I think it's Cornelius. It might be no one.